What the hell did that staircase ever do to you? Atomic Blonde, released in 2017 and is directed by David Leitch, who has also directed such films like Deadpool 2, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, and co-directed the film John Wick. And after watching this movie, all I can say is no shit. And this film is starring Charlize Theron, James McAvoy, and John Goodman. I am not kidding. Every single fight scene that we get in this film is jaw-dropping, especially when we get to the big climactic, probably what this film is known for, the big staircase fight scene where it looks like it's all one big take, one big shot. It's epic, and that whole sequence is pure art. That is cinema in its purest art form. My mouth is on the ground just still thinking about that scene. Wow. Thank God we got films like Birdman back in 2014, where that one's also shot in what seems to be one big long take. And then we had awesome fight choreography with John Wick, and then the Daredevil series came out. That's how this movie happened. They took all of that stuff and gave us one hell of a fucking action sequence in that staircase. I still can't stop thinking about it. What is actually going on in this movie, all the covert stuff and the spy stuff and MI6 and CIA and KGB, all of that stuff kind of goes in one ear and out the other. I'm really begging for more action scenes here. Or more scenes of Charlize Theron and Sofia Boutella with each other. Wow. Yeah. Big kudos here has to go to Charlize Theron. She is, this is her entire movie. She is carrying this whole thing, and she is doing all of these stunts herself, or at least the majority of them, whatever the insurance companies will allow her to do. She's doing a lot, and she is awesome. She is badass. Her character in this movie is basically like the female version of James Bond, except you take out all of the cheeky one-liners and the sexism and the patronizing. How about this? She is the female Jason Bourne. There you go. And kudos needs to go to her makeup artist, because the first time we see her, she's in an ice bath. She gets out, she starts getting dressed, and you see all of these bruises just all over her body, a black eye, the cuts everywhere. And it looks like she's actually been through, and she actually looks like she's been through the street fight herself. At no point did I look at her in this movie thinking that, oh my god, she's a performer, she's an actor, none of this stuff is real. Everything looked real here. And James McAvoy gives a fun little performance as the side character, the shady guy who seems to be flip-flopping back and forth, and you have no idea where he's going to end up. But the way he's able to do that is through his charm, the way he talks, and how he's able to convince you one thing and then convince this other person of another thing. And again, you have no idea who he's fighting for. And this is a spy film, this is an action film, so you gotta have that intrigue. I like it. Also, I did fail to mention that this film does satisfy the Skarsgård requirement that all movies need. This movie does have a Skarsgård. So the performances, the stunt choreography, really the production design, the color palette that we have here, a lot of gray tones, it feels very real. I like all of this. I like the backdrop of the Cold War and the falling of the Berlin Wall. However, I feel like in post-production, this film kind of lost what it was going for, or at least what it was trying to be, before I feel like other studio hands got in here. Because this movie is set in the 80s, and really ever since the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, when you think of the soundtrack to that film and how just everyone loved the soundtrack, and then all the movie studios afterwards was like, oh, we want our next movies to have a killer, like, retro soundtrack too, so let's do that to Suicide Squad, and here comes Atomic Blonde, let's do that with that movie. Songs play in this film because it's the 80s, and the audience needs to be bashed over the head with the fact that, hey, it's the 80s. Just randomly, in a scene, it'll come on. It's not like a radio playing or anything like that, or just all of a sudden we hear, oh, yeah, that was a famous song back in the 80s. Cool. But could we get back to the story? Again, I feel like someone in post-production, someone higher up, a producer, came in and said, this needs to have more 80s and it needs to have more retro stuff that we can market around, because that music just doesn't fit the style of what we're doing here. And it's also very tricky from a screenwriting aspect, where the film opens and we meet our main character. She's being interrogated by members of the MI6 and the CIA, talking about the actions that took place in Berlin, and then we move into the movie. So it's a non-linear structure, and the main core of the action scenes and really everything that happens in the movie all have previously happened. So if all that's going down, we already know that, well, she's alive, so she makes it through all of that. Kind of takes the suspense and the stakes out of it for me. It's difficult writing from that aspect, and I do think this film suffers because of it. But again, all of that just goes out the bloody window when you get to the hallway, the staircase scene, and she's taking out all of these henchmen that are coming in. The fight choreography here, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing stylized, it doesn't look like a dance at all. It just looks like rough, gritty, realistic fighting. And she's not being a cool action star who does it and it looks like she's making it look easy and it's not breaking a sweat. She gets down and dirty, and you hear grunting, you hear screaming, because these characters are just trying to get that last little bit of energy to tackle the guy, or to drive a knife into someone's chest cavity, or something. You feel invested into these characters and their situation. You're like, oh my god, they're actually fighting. And the cuts where the camera needs to switch tracks and meld itself together is almost seamless. There are times where I'm like, okay, I can kind of see where it cut there, or at least it makes sense that it cut there, but you know what? This entire thing looks like one big giant take, and it's freaking awesome. I think they did a stairwell fight scene in season 2 of Daredevil, which I think came out in 2017, the same year that this one did. I don't know which one came out first, but I guess 2017 was not a good year for staircases. I think Atomic Blonde is a really good time and a really fun time. Again, that stairwell scene is just frickin' fight choreography art that everyone who is a fan of the action genre needs to see. I think there are some structure elements and post-editing elements of this film that are a little muddy and kind of bring this film down a couple of pegs, but the things that work in this movie frickin' work, and they are worth it. I'm gonna give Atomic Blonde 3.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I am above average.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my videos, where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next. So we're going to be selecting from the movies that I have collected over the years. Let's take a look. Source Code! Jake Gyllenhaal time-traveling thing, right? That's what it was, right? I've only seen it once. I remember, maybe he inhabits other people. I think that was it. He inhabits other people on a train that he's trying to prevent blowing up. Really, all I'm remembering here is that Jake Gyllenhaal was on the cover. And he's an agent, and there's something with his dad. I think Michelle Monaghan is in here. I couldn't tell you what the whole story is, though. But we'll look at it next time. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, you can make a PayPal donation on the main page of my YouTube channel. Any size donation will do. Just attach your movie recommendation with your donation, and if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, give you a shout out on the channel, and get my review of it published as quickly as I possibly can. So guys, have you seen Atomic Blonde? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Source Code. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.